Hello there. I don't really have an intro because I don't usually talk in my videos, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Today I want to talk about Karaneko, which is an RPG I found about 3 months ago, and it just launched their Kickstarter, so I want to attract some attention to the game because I really do think that it's on the level of Undertale, Omori, and alike. I'm just gonna break down all that happens in the demo of the game because there is a demo available for free on Steam right now. If you don't want spoilers, just don't watch the video, I guess. But if you just want to know what happens in the game and you want to know if you want to give it a shot, I'll be covering this for you today. So the game opens with this really dramatic, really cool legend, our Deltarune, very reminiscent of the legend in Deltarune, and it looks like it's setting up some grand story about gods and such. But it turns out it's just a video game. The main character was watching. His name is Karam. So as Karam is watching the intro of his video game, his PC suddenly shuts off, and it turns out his little brother Nayan accidentally clicked the power button of the power socket while he was looking at the poster on the wall. Nayan quickly apologizes and begs Kiram to come to his room and play this video game with him that he's been practicing on all night. But before we can go do that, he asks us to make a sandwich for him because I guess he's just a child and we are taking care of him. Now, if you decide to go straight to his room, he meets you with that puppy face where he asks you if you're just gonna starve your brother, in which you can actually respond with yes. As far as I'm concerned, there aren't any real consequences to doing that, but for this video I'm covering the good route, so to speak, because this game does actually have multiple routes you can take. As we head downstairs, before we actually go back to Nayan after making his sandwich, we can explore the house a bit more. And this is how we can interact with one of the, in my opinion, coolest feature in this game. There are a ton of objects that trigger full screen illustrations with this gorgeous art that kinda reminds you of Omori, but it's all pixel art, technically. Interacting with different objects in the house lets you learn more about Kiram's past and his friends. You even learn all of their names: X, Fiti, Sari, Skip, Mupton, and Ark. Going to the closet room, we can see an old arcade machine with the title Save. This, if you couldn't know this, is how you save the game. There is also that punching bag, which if you interact with it, you can choose to punch it. This triggers the game's tutorial for attacking. Now there are different ways to fight in this game, but as of right now we only have our fists. So there are these little circles with fists markers on them over the box, where you have to go there and press Z in just the right moment, because there is an outer circle closing in on the inner circle. Press too early and you get basically no damage. Press too late and you actually get no damage because the circle just fucking disappears. After giving Nyan his sandwich, you can play the game with him. Now you can actually lose here, but he's so bad at the game, there is almost no way you're actually going to lose unless you try. Just like the punching bag acted as your attacking tutorial, this is more of your dodging tutorial because the game is literally just Toho. After all this is done, he wants to play chess with you, which you don't actually do in game. It just cuts to a screen where Nyan is asleep and it's a little bit darker outside. Now at this point in the game I haven't found this yet, but there is actually a chore list in Karam's room that he has made for himself, which is basically the game's way of telling you where to go and when to go there. So in the list says that after Nyan goes to sleep, we have to go to the store to buy some decorations because apparently it's New Year's Eve. Going to the store, we can actually see all of Karam's friends and interact with them. We can also see his sister, which I think is the girl of the poster in his room, if I'm not mistaken. None of his friends say anything all that significant or have any important interactions, except for two, in my opinion. One of them is X. She looks awful and depressed, and there is a reason for that, we will learn just in a sec. And the other is the cashier, who is Mopton, and from him we learn that Karam actually goes to the store often, just when there are no people. And it seems that Mopton is really the only one of his friends who still keeps some kind of a contact with him. As we head back home, we can see that Ark is waiting for us there to confront us about basically the fact that we have kinda abandoned the gang and we were kinda the leader and they don't really know what to do without us. And basically from Ark we learned the fact that Nyan has lost his mother about 4 months ago and X has also lost her entire family. Well, that explains a lot. He's basically angry because Karam is depressed, which is stupid, but anyways, he fights you and he acts as the tutorial boss of the game. He's really easy, there is little to no chance that you actually die to him. But this is the first point in the game where we can use the act option to try and talk him down, get him to stop. Interestingly enough, it doesn't really matter which option to talk with him you're going to choose, because they all just end up with him being upset at you. But if you beat the ever-living shit out of him, he's actually happy about it. So I guess this is the positive outcome, which is really strange, but whatever. We go back to the house, and the next thing in Karam's list is to make cookies as Nayan is sleeping. We try to do that, but Nayan wakes up and he demands to make the cookies with us, which we let him, but we have to actually tell him what to do because he doesn't know how to cook. You can choose to tell him to make the cookies awful, and he isn't really going to hesitate about what you tell him to put in there, which is hilarious because they just look like a blob if you do that. But I just told him to put the right ingredients. After some TV time, we go check on the cookies and check out the next thing in Karam's list, which is to send Nayan to the store just so we can distract him and put up the decorations as a surprise. Now, before Nayan actually heads out, we get this full screen spread of him talking about how Karam reminds him of their mother and how he wants him to smile more often because he hasn't really been the same after the incident. Now, this point in the game is where I actually get reminded that this is also a horror game, because even though nothing really happens to Nayan during this scene, the way it's presented, it just feels like something is wrong. Like this is the last time you're gonna see him. But anyway, after he gets out and we put up the decorations, we can just walk around the house a bit without anything really happening, until we start hearing loud knocking on the door. And the TV static kinda starts filling up the whole game screen. Then we can hear Nayan outside screaming to open the door. And then we woke up in this weird, darker alternative version of the house, and our room is changed. The furniture just is different. There is that locked closet, which will be important later, and an arcade machine so we can save. When we save, the little title that says the area you're located in on the save file changes from home to academy, which I guess would explain why Karam is wearing this kind of Hogwarts styled wizard school uniform. Now, after we get out, naturally most players would go and check on Nayan's room. You don't really have to do that first, but this is what I did. To my surprise, instead of Nayan, this girl walked out, who for some reason speaks like fucking Minos Prime. Prepare thyself, weak! Which drove me insane because my dyslexic ass cannot read Old English. Anyway, after we tell her that we are looking for our brother, she's surprised because she didn't know Karam had a brother, and she says that she would want to invite you to her room. However, it's messy inside and it's late, so she just goes back to sleep. As we go downstairs, we can find this book in the living room talking about the capes that everyone is wearing, and it says that the brighter the color of your cape, the stronger your magical capabilities are. Karam has a pitch black cape, which means he's ass at magic. And that girl had a yellow cape. I don't know exactly how bright of a color that would mean. I'm guessing a lot, so she's probably pretty strong. We go to the kitchen next, where we can pick up a wand from there, and as soon as we walk out, we meet the girl again, and she's surprised that they run off into each other so soon. But what she's more surprised about is the fact that Karam is holding a wand, because she knows that Karam isn't the best at magic. Either way, she just decides to go train with you anyway, since she's actually a pretty nice character. As we head to the training room, which is also someone's bedroom, we meet Washka. He's a dog boy, he's not very smart, and he talks in third person. I like Washka a lot. He's pretty excited to fight, however his, I think, big sister, Eve, wakes up. She's this big scary red fox lady and she's really pissed that we wake her up. So she decides to train with us by beating the shit out of us. This is the first point in the game where you're not exclusively locked to fight with Karam. You can choose which essentially party member is going to do the fighting and talking and the other two act as a support. My advice, choose either the girl or Washka, do not choose Karam, he sucks. Now, regardless of if you win or lose the Eve encounter, the outcome is the same. Right before she can go all out on you, the electricity suddenly stops and the girl and Washka just make a quick excuse to leave because Eve is scary. She kicks Karam out and you can't really go outside because there is a warden that doesn't let you go any further and Washka and the girl are just gone for some reason. So our only option is to follow this spectral phantom version of your cat. It leads you to the girl's room where we can find a key which for some reason unlocks the closet in Karam's room. Before making any big decisions, we save really quick and walk into the closet, and we just keep walking and walking until we see that big white door, which takes us to this being happy dreamlike place that's very reminiscent of Omori's dream world. Here we meet basically the game's mascot, Yurim, the cat girl. This is a good time to say that Yurim is also the name of Kiram's house cat, so this is probably relevant, but I don't know how. Anyways, she asks for your name and this is where the game lets you name your character. But why are we naming Karam if he's already Karam? I mean, yeah, his name was question marks before you select a character for the Eve fight, but what does that mean? Are we not playing as Karam anymore? Because it sure looks like him, and the characters still refer to him as, well, he. So it's also for sure a male character. I don't know what exactly is going on here. It really reminds me of Omori's situation where your character name is always Omori when you're in the dream world, but it's whatever you name the character outside of the dream world. In this game, it's just reversed. Are we lying about who we are, or what's going on here? I decided to just name him Karam, use the canon name, so to speak, which did actually get a unique interaction out of Yurim, where she says that the name seems familiar. This doesn't happen if you name your character anything else. Also, if you try to name yourself Yurim, she just says that there is no way this is your name because this is her name. I guess girl just doesn't know people can have the same name, but whatever. Yurim starts showing you around the pink forest, which by the way actually is the name of the area. I'm not just giving it a lame nickname. She wants us to go to her house. At her house, Yurim asks what Karam is doing there, and if you tell her the whole story, she just laughs at you at first because she's thinking that you're just joking, but after showing that you're really serious about it, she's not really sure if she can trust you on that because it sounds ridiculous. But regardless of that, she is willing to help you look for Nayan. And if you wander in the other direction first, you can find this poster for a missing person which apparently Yurim is looking for, but she refuses to elaborate on it. Surely this is not gonna come up later. Yurim takes us to one of the other strangers that arrived at the Pink Forest just the day before us. Her name is Rose, and she really doesn't have anything interesting to say for now, and she doesn't know who or where Nayan is either, so we just continue forward. If we go near the library, Yurim says that she has something that she has to do every day, and she goes to knock on the library's door, clearly looking for someone, but they're not there. So she decides to take us to this weirdly realistic looking fisherman to buy dinner. Before we can go back to her house, we are stopped by this mandatory bee encounter and we have to fight the bee. We take care of it really quickly, but this guy notices us. His name is Oskos, and he was impressed by how easily Karam beat that bee. So he wants to make Karam his little shadowling servant or whatever. Bro is delusional. Yurim actually helps you in this boss fight because she just wants to get this over with. However, she's not a character, she acts more like a passive buff to your attack and HP. Before the fight begins, Oskos hands you a dagger that he wants you to use so he can witness your true potential or whatever. Now, this dagger is hands down the best weapon in the game. The fists are just way too time based and luck based on where they're going to appear, and the wand is awful. Don't use the wand ever. Oskos is actually somewhat of a tough boss fight, the hardest I would say so far, with it being relatively the same level of difficulty. Before Oskos can go all out on us, his older sister Ophelia shows up and stops him before things escalate and tells him not to attack potential customers. After a brief interaction with them and still no information on Nyan, we just head back to Yurim's house. Yurim suggests we take a food nap as the food is cooking, which is a pretty self-explanatory thing. We head to her room for a little nap, and here is when I get reminded that besides a horror game, this is also somewhat of a romance game by this full screen image of Yurim laying next to you like anyways, where was I? Right, the nap. So Karam falls asleep and is awakened by Yurim as the food is ready, but just before they can sit down and eat, Oskos and Rose interrupt us and they want us to go eat with them and Ophelia at the guest house. Nothing really all that interesting happens there except the fact that Ophelia has a diamond armor?
Diamond armor, full set!
Towards the end of the night, Oskos gets drunk and Rose takes him out for some fresh air. If you decide to go out and check on Rose and Oskos instead of going straight to bed, you can actually find that Oskos is alone. And Rose is nowhere to be seen. Going back to Yurim's house, we can find that Rose is there And she asks us if we can also feel it, how the forest is hiding something sinister and the people around us are not real. She warns that if we stay too long here, our body won't be able to handle it, and she says that her and her group are going to leave tomorrow. Rose tells us that we should probably avoid everyone, especially Yurim, and just leave as fast as possible. After this whole thing unfolds, we go to sleep back at the guest house, where on the next morning, as we walk out with Yurim, we can overhear Rose and Oskos having a discussion how Rose hates this artificial place and all of the fake people around her who just stay in the same place every day saying the same things and magically disappear upon nightfall. And she doesn't even know why Ophelia even decided to stop by such a place. Now, Yurim is obviously upset about all that. She tells Rose that she's an awful person and they should just leave if they don't want to stay here. Then she just runs off crying. Rose tells us that she said all these things for Yurim's sake, and if we really care about her, we should make her leave this place with us. We can find Yurim sitting in front of the library, and she's actually pretty happy that at least we decided to stay with her. We go to her house to hang out, and after some small talk and minigames, she talks about that friend of hers named Finian, who used to come and visit her very often. Finian was apparently living in a pretty loud place, so he would go to the pink forest to read, because it's way more peaceful. However, one day Finian just stopped showing up altogether, and this is actually the reason why Yurim checks the library so often, because it's Finian's library that he built for this place. After the game stabs another dagger in my heart with this little sad cutscene at the end of the night, Yurim wakes Karam up again on the next morning and suggests we go to the park. Now at this point you tell her again that you have to find your brother, which she forgot about? What? But before we do that, it seems that Yurim is kind of gotten over what happened yesterday with Rose, and now she just wants to prove to Rose that this place isn't a magical or cursed, or that the people aren't fake. Now after heading to the guest house again, Ross and the others have already left. So Yurim just brushes it off by saying whatever, we were better off without them anyway. And so she suggests that we just go do something that is just a repeat of something we did the other days, further proving Ross right that all the people in this place just stay in the same place every day and say the same things and are probably fake. Now during this section you tell Yurim multiple times that you just have to go and find Nayan, and at the end when she goes back to check for Finian in the library again, we tell her one last time that we really need to leave and just find Nayan, and she suggests maybe we should stay another day, maybe Finian will show up the next day and he would know what to do. She's obviously coping or is delusional, so we just tell her let's leave together. At which point she just gets upset at us and says that if we want to leave so bad, we should just leave. After which she just runs off back to her house. Going back to her house, I get yet another dagger stabbed into my heart as we can see Yurim completely broken down into tears, just a mess. She says that she doesn't know what to do anymore, that she knows Rose was right, that this place is fake, that the peoples are fake, and she just does the same thing every day, over and over. She says that she did her best to love this place, but it's hard. She says that it was so hard to go check on that library every day with hope only to be met with dusty old shelves. Eventually, she just stopped going inside altogether and just knocking on the door. She says how she was so happy when Karam arrived and that he wanted to be her friend, but now he just wants to leave her behind as well. She asks what else is she supposed to do for him to stay, why won't he stay? And then she just says that maybe she should do what she should have done when Finian wanted to leave. Then she just extends her hand upwards and charges this huge energy orb that makes everything around us start levitating. Turns out she's actually extremely powerful, but she just stops herself before doing whatever she was about to do because she just can't bring herself to harm Karam. She just collapses on her knees and tells us to go away. We can't really keep interacting with her at this point, so we just leave and go to the door that's at the uppermost section of the forest, where is the gate, which is the exit. Now, when we try to exit, the 3 crystal keys at the gate just scatter around the forest and this huge red demonic wolf comes out. At this point in the game we have to go around the forest and find the keys as the wolf is chasing you. All of the NPCs that were there are now gone and are replaced with these red ghosts that just sit there and do nothing, and there are also these black ghosts that if you go close to them they will start chasing you, and if they touch you it triggers a black screen with the displayed text but no one was there, very reminiscent of Undertales, but nobody came. The ghosts themselves don't actually do anything to you, but they do slow you down for a bit so the wolf can catch up to you, and if he catches you you have to do the whole section over again. After we find the first 2 keys in the library and at the bottom right section of the forest, we can go back to Yurim's house. No, at first she thinks that we threw the other key through her window on purpose, but after she hears the wolf, she quickly realizes what's actually going on. It turns out this is the thing that keeps her from leaving. It turns out this is the reason why she couldn't leave this place. So we just jump through the window and make a run for the portal. But the wolf is already there waiting for us, and this is probably the most important decision you're gonna make in the demo. You can either leave Yurim behind and save yourself, or fight off the wolf to save her. Now, obviously I chose to save her. The wolf himself is actually a pretty challenging boss fight, but I had at this point in the game just stuck on items, and this game actually just lets you use items over and over. Your turn only ends after you either attack or act. And you can't really defeat the wolf with acting, you have to fight it. After this whole thing, we just hug Yurim, we tell her that we can live together and just forget about this place. And we reopen the portal, they walk in, and this is the end of the demo. Now, I want to talk about my opinion on this game. I really like Karaneko. I think it's a game with great potential and amazing story just from the demo, and I think more people should just know about this game. Their Kickstarter is currently running. There should be about 20 days left as this video is uploaded. So if you are interested, go to Kickstarter, support them. If you don't have money, you can always just wishlist the game on Steam, follow them in their other social media. I will link all of that. And with all of that being said, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.